Hey you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Natsai, and today I guess I'll be doing kind of like a little video of maybe some experiences that I've had, like being a black girl in computer science, and hence the title of the video, being a black girl in computer science, or the black sheep in the class. It's basically like I guess a lot of things aren't really talked about because there's not like that many of us like black girls in computer science, but I guess sharing some of my experiences and some of the things that I've gone through, and even like going from feeling like an imposter until I eventually like felt like, you know what, forget this, I belong in these classes as much as everybody else does. So it's basically like my journey, or like 3 semesters of basically like what the struggle has led to, and yeah, being a black girl in computer science. So I hope you guys like the video and stay tuned. So I know like the first big thing is like, okay, why would you want to do a video like this? Like, what's the inspiration? First of all, it has been like how I have been feeling lately. I was just like, let me get this out and talk about it, and maybe from the feedback that I'll get out, like I could, sort of maybe help out someone that's going through some of the things that I'm going through or have gone through, and even get like someone to talk to that's like maybe also in this field or has gone through this field, like get some advice and stuff. And secondly, it's like all the reactions. Let me tell you guys, freshman year, so I came here, I already knew that I was going to be in accelerated classes, boom, because I had credits, so I was going to go into like upper level classes. Secondly, from research, I had kind of gathered, and I had like sort of expected that I wasn't really going to see that many black girls in computer science, let alone girls. No, like my research could not prepare me for my classes. Literally walking into a class, sitting down, and you're kind of like a freaking unicorn. Out of a class of like maybe 80 to 100 students, there's like maybe 3 or 4 of you, and you're kind of like scattered all over the place. So that's one thing I could not prepare for. And I was nervous, really nervous, like really scared, because I'm thinking I need to make sure that first semester I do extremely well, because I need to do really well. My parents are paying so much for this, and all the time I'm meeting people like, oh, hey, what's your major? And little freshman excited, computer science, and like you get reactions like, oh, good luck. Oh, like I dropped it. Like it was just the math in there was just too much for me. Or why? Like, why computer science? Like, really? And you get like all these questions, and I'm kind of like, you're there trying to explain. Some people were just point blank rude, like ready, I don't know what it was, but that week I remember first week of school, and I was running around trying to process my stuff. Some of the people that I was meeting, they were on a vengeance, like on a mission to crush dreams, because it was just, you explain why you want to do it. Like, I'm good at IT, I've done really well, I'm really good at math. And they're like, well, we all start that way, but you'll find that like at some point it kind of frustrates you and you want to drop. So that already instilled all this fear in me. And then walking into my classes and kind of finding that, oh my gosh, nobody in here looks like me, like am I in the wrong place? That's another thing that also just like put even more fear in me. And I was like, I'm doomed. What was I doing? Came to America to fail. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doomed, I'm dead. And like it scared, oh my gosh, it scared me. And as if that was bad enough, I thought, okay, maybe I'm the only one that looks in here. People would be curious, want to find out, will like be encouraging. Not the case first off in the beginning. Like I remember getting looks like, what are you doing in here? Like you get in the class sometimes, like, what are you doing in here? And like with some of my classes, my math classes especially, I'd already started off like in classes where I was with upperclassmen, because I had my math credit. So walk into classes where the professor even looks at you like like I won't even mention what class it was, but there was one class where we had to like take a pretest. So I'm freaking out. This is like my first day of school. So this is the first day of school. First day of school hasn't gone as planned. It's already been a harrowing experience. So I'm walking into the class that I was most afraid of, because none of the people that were like in my FLC, or like the few friends that I had made, or like a few faces that you've talked to, were in this class. A lot of them weren't even like, they weren't going to take it till next semester. So I'm thinking, I've messed up and I'm gonna be able to do this on my own. Our professor comes in, this no nonsense man, like I'm already like freaking out. I'm so scared. So the class, and then he like gives us a test and he's like, oh, like whoever doesn't do that well in this class, I recommend that, you know, you drop it and you take the class before it. I'm like, what? We're already dropping classes? Oh my gosh, I'm already like, I'm doomed. They're like, I'm doomed, it's over. So we get tested and like some of the concepts, because I had done like all the credit that I got, I did that for my IB, and that's like in a completely different educational system. So coming into like an American system, there's some things that I still haven't covered and there's some things that I've covered, you know, still trying to like link everything up together. So at the end of this class, I was shaking throughout the whole class. I was so scared. The end of the class, go up to the professor trying to explain that, oh my gosh, this has happened. And like before I could even say much and like trying to explain, he's like, well, we'll see your grade, and like if you haven't done well, you'll be dropped. Are we serious? Like really? First of all, I'm looking around the class and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm doomed, because there's not even like, I think there were what, like maybe 2 or 3 more black girls in the class. I'm like, it's over, doom, even the professors. And you know, off in the beginning, what I was mainly dealing with and trying to cope with was just like this fear of, oh my gosh, like I have to prove myself, I'm not gonna make it in any of these classes. Yes, you know, there are some people around me, there are some people that I talk to, and like then like, you know, I had like another black girl who was also doing it with me, but it was like, oh my gosh, some of these struggles that you're dealing with, you feel like completely on your own. And what was driving me was fear, and also the fact that anybody outside of your major, you can't really talk to anyone, because everyone's just like, you know, you're trying to bring it up like, oh my gosh, this is what's going on in there, and like you get some people like, oh girl, that's not even my problem, like why'd you even pick it, like, you know, you went computer science, that's completely hard. And it's like, so like over the course of time, it was just like trying to figure out and dealing with all this fear. Like you walk into classes and you would think it gets better. I thought like after my first year it would have all gotten better, but still last semester I found like you walk into classes, yeah, I'm a girl, fine, I'll walk in a dress and I'll look pretty because I do want to look pretty. You walk into classes, you know, I sit right at the front because I can't see at the back. These glasses aren't just for show, like I really can't see if I sit at the back of a class, so I will go like for the first or the second row, but most of the time it's the first. So remember like one of my classes last semester, I walked in, had like a bag because I was looking cute that day. It was the first day of school, sat down, and like all I could see was just like looks, like, you know, like people just turned around and like looked at me like, are you in the right class? And I turned around and just sat down like comfortably, like, yeah, I'm in the right class. Took out my books. Professor walks in, looks around too. I was like, okay. And then, you know, then says what class it is, and you know, still you get like all those looks after the class has been mentioned. And like I just sat down comfortably like, yeah, I know what class it is, like I'm not lost. It's crazy because like you think people get over it, but I still feel like sometimes, you know, I walk into a class and I'm really being like judged to sort of fail. Then you have to go through the whole like proving yourself, like, no, I'm in this right class, I know what I'm doing, yes, I can do it, yeah, there's not that many people that look like me, but I can still do it. And it's like, it had been like one thing that was really frustrating, that feeling of not belonging in a class. And you know, you may look and just be like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter, like just go and do your own thing, but a lot of group work is needed in some of these things. And like for the longest, I think because of the few people that I'd like been talking to, the few people that were like brave enough to come and talk to me, those are the people that I was kind of like dealing and surviving off with. But every time like I think of I'm gonna start a new class, like starting a new semester, it's the same old thing. Like this semester you'll sit in a class and nobody wants to talk to you because they all don't really look like you. Like it's all just like and like everyone is all in like all this chit chat and stuff, and with you it's just like like you're right there. So it was something that was also like frustrating and really like scaring. And I know like first semester I think was the craziest, because I was also still trying to figure out how to deal with that. And you know, after some time, as I figured that, oh, okay, maybe I'm getting the hang of this, I thought maybe, you know, I'm getting this, but no. So like instead of like things getting better, I know one of my classes first semester especially, it turned into like, you know, it got to a point where like the teacher had realized that okay, I know what I'm doing, and as a result like they would call on me whenever the class didn't know what the answer was in that class specifically. And you know, I would say the answer, and then at some point like, you know, it turned into like a thing where like I'd say the answer, or you hear like giggling in the class, or you hear ugh, like her again, and I'm kind of like, that kind of doesn't make sense because I didn't even speak as much. There was another guy, you know, male, and every time he would answer like all the questions if I didn't, so you'd find that maybe I spoke like 30% of the time and he would speak like 70% of the time, but every time like he said something, it would be like a woo, you know, clap, you know, like people fist pumping him there and that side, and then I say something and it's like a ugh. And I didn't think it was like that much of an issue until something was actually said to my face, and that's the thing that got me like, oh my gosh. So, and it wasn't like until that I realized that, you know, maybe this was a thing or like this was an issue, until like somebody actually said something to my face. It wasn't indirectly, but they weren't like, it wasn't like directly to me, but it was just said like in the presence, and like they wanted me to hear what they were saying. They're like, oh, that's that in that class. And I was like, oh, okay, why would you call me that, right? Because even at the end of the day, it's not like I talk to a point where I'm annoying. Most of the time like the professor will have to like solicit an answer for me because I'm already like really scared to talk in that class. But then that kind of made me realize that, oh, okay, so these are the surroundings that I'm in. And I started thinking and looking back, and I'm like, I'm not the only one that answers questions in class. There's people that talk way more than I do. I mean, fine, when I talk I will get the answer right, but when I thought about it, I was like, oh, okay, what do those people that keep on answering have in common? It's like, okay, they all look the same. And with me, I completely do not look the same. And when I look at any of the other people in the class that look like me, they're quiet, not saying anything. So I was like, fine, maybe a solution to this is for me to just keep quiet. So that's what I was doing. I'd get into class, just sink into the back, not say anything, just keep quiet, and you know, just like, you know, get on, just and I thought maybe that would be a solution that I'd be able to go through. I also like, you know, I've also noticed that depending on how I dress, like if I come into class like all decked out, all pretty, like face beat, because I'm just, you know, maybe you're having a bad day and you want to dress up, there will be like a completely different reaction to me. Like I'll come in then and like it's more like hostile in some cases than, you know, or it's like that the looks are like a lot more than on days when I had to like rush out and I'm wearing like a cap and I'm looking like completely bummy. Those are days that I'd feel like, oh, okay, maybe I felt like a lot more comfortable in class and I look like a lot more approachable. And, you know, so on top of like keeping quiet, I'd also dress like that just to also test it out and see how that was working. And I realized that, oh, okay, fine, being quiet and not like really saying much and also dressing like that, it seemed like, you know, I was more tolerable in class because, you know, I just blended back into the background. Like, yeah, I blended into the background and I was a lot more tolerable, but at the end of the day I didn't feel like I was happy because I didn't feel like I was getting like my tuition worth out of just by doing this. And at the same time, should I dress a different way just to make sure that a person feels comfortable? If you're not comfortable with the fact that I'm a black girl in computer science, like that sounds more like a you problem than a me problem, and I started getting into that. But I still wanted like somewhat of a solution, so that's what I was mainly doing last semester. Like, you know, asking, was in this class, would ask her, was in a womenly class where they teach you how to deal with like some of these gender stereotypes, and I started like asking around and like trying to ask them because like I was exposed to like a lot of women that had done really well in like male dominated fields. And, you know, just asking around, some people would be like, ignore it. And it's kind of like, well, it's easy for you to tell me to ignore it because first of all, we don't really look the same, and there's, you know, what I'm going through and what you may have gone through, they're kind of similar. But how do you tell somebody to ignore the fact that you walk in a class and you have to prove yourself because everyone looks at you and they're like, you know, most likely to fail over there? Or even like some professors may look at you in that light and they're like, don't let it get into your head that much. And I do understand that, don't let it get into your head that much, but there's some things that you cannot ignore. And then asking around, I did learn some valuable things. That yes, there is the brush it off, but one, I think of the most important things that I learned, and the thing that I've like taken from that and stuck with, is you also like belong in that class. Just like when it comes to getting a job, you also belong in that job. Like, yeah, don't ever feel like inferior to anybody else just because nobody looks like you. Doesn't really make a difference. Like, you're not an imposter. Like, trying to get rid of like that imposter syndrome. And that's one thing that really stuck to me, and it made me like a lot more confident. Yes, I would walk into my classes, face beat, this, that, everything, and I would sit there and talk to the person sitting next to me, talk to the people around me, even though in the beginning you first get like these looks like, and yeah, I'd continue to talk like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know, as time goes on, yes, I do, it's almost like under scrutiny, after a person's realized that, okay, she does know what she's talking about, she's not just in this class, then there's more of like that, oh, okay, fine, cool, like you can hang with us. And then people start opening up and people start talking, and then from that, you know, it was now just talking and with people that I felt really comfortable with, starting off this conversation and discussing to try and find out. And you know, I also found out that, you know, there is a lot too with some males, because I was actually talking to one of my friends and he was telling me of some of the experiences that he's had, because I always thought that, oh, you know, it's just black females that will experience this, but because black males in computer science are not, you know, that represented, although there's more of them than us, that's another thing that, you know, they've also had some experiences and they've also had some things that they go through. The biggest thing though, that I think, and like the point that I'm at, even though I make some steps, you know, forward and I go back, go forward, because I have been feeling pretty frustrated lately, but the biggest thing that like has come is realizing that, yeah, at the end of the day, I may be different and I can't change the fact that even when I come into a room, you know, people may look at me or I might have to prove myself with all that. But one thing that I can definitely change is the fact that I have to be comfortable with the fact that I'm gonna walk into a room. There will be looks sometimes, or there will be, you know, the like, do you really belong here? Or I may have to prove myself a lot more to a professor, but I just have to be comfortable and ready for that, because you know, it's not anything that I can change overnight. Even by me like making this video, some people, you know, may realize, come as talk to me about it or whatever, but or try to change their reaction, fine, but they will still be like this feeling for, I guess, my generation of computer scientists. But we need to keep going and also making sure that we're like encouraging a lot more women and a lot more females to get into this, because yeah, it's not easy, but so are like a lot of subjects in college. Biology is not easy, like chemistry is not easy, all these sciences, a lot of like these STEM fields, nothing is really easy in college. Not just STEM, business fields, anything, nothing is easy and nothing will be easy, but just feel comfortable enough to just walk into it. Because I know that was like the biggest thing, like in high school, I know when my friend, my best friend in high school and I were picking IT, like a lot of people were like, okay, and like even one of my friends even point blank told me that she doesn't really see a future in it for her because it's so male dominated, and the way she sees it, why would anyone ever hire a black female? And you know, things like that, I kind of look and I think, well, these are some things that we need to like change and stereotype when paving back for like all these other black young females that are going to look up to us and want to come in. And hence the reason why like I volunteer, from the things that I do like with Black Girls Code. Check out the video, I'll leave like the link in the description box. But yeah, it's changing that realization with myself that, okay, you know, this is what it is, but I'm comfortable with the fact that, yeah, I'm the only one walking into this, and I'm gonna continue and I'm gonna do it, and I'm still gonna be successful. I'm gonna like kick butt. I don't care whatever names people, you know, call me, but at the end of the day, I'm not here to make you comfortable. I'm just, you know, here to be myself. And also the fact is, it may look like I don't belong, or sometimes I may feel like I don't belong, but I am fully capable, and all black females too do have a place in this field.